Okay, so today we're diving into something that looks, well, pretty simple at first. It's an ancient ostrich egg. But what's carved onto it? That's a whole other story. It's a drawing that might just flip the script on everything we thought we knew about one of the most famous wonders of the world. And that really brings us to the big question, right? Can a 7,000-year-old ostrich egg actually rewrite history? Because what we're talking about here is an artifact found in a tomb from way back around 5000 BCE that seems to show something our history books are very clear shouldn't exist for another 2,500 years.
You can imagine this has kicked up a huge debate, especially online, and in those corners of the internet that love a good historical mystery. Are these markings just, simple decorations, which is what most historians would say? Or do they reveal something else? A secret history that we've completely missed?
All right, to really get what all the fuss is about, we need to wrap our heads around the massive timing problem this egg creates. It's a big one. So, here's the deal. The egg was found in a tomb from what we call the Naqada culture, way before the pharaohs. And on it, you've got these etchings. The ones causing all the trouble are 3 triangles. And they're not just simple triangles. They have these horizontal lines running across them. And they're sitting right next to a wavy line that looks an awful lot like a river, maybe the Nile?
And this right here, this timeline, this lays out the paradox perfectly. You've got the egg on one side dated to around 5000 BCE. But the Great Pyramids of Giza, the ones we all know, they weren't built until about 2500 BCE by pharaohs like Khufu. That's a 2,500-year gap. We're not talking about a small mix-up here. This is a massive historical canyon.
So how do we even start to unpack this? We have to ask the right questions. Like, what was even happening in Egypt all those thousands of years before the pyramids? Was it just an empty desert? Were the people there just, primitive? Or was there something more going on? Let's dig into the evidence. Yeah, you really have to forget everything you might picture about Egypt before the pyramids. Because when you look at the actual archaeology, it tells a story of a world that was surprisingly complex, super dynamic, a place that was already building the foundations for the pharaohs. Just take a look at this map. The Nile was anything but empty. Long before the first pharaohs united Egypt, this whole region was buzzing with settlements and cultural hotspots. You can see some of the big ones here, especially in Upper Egypt, places like Naqada, Hierakonpolis and Abydos. And it's so important to understand who these people actually were. We call them the Naqada culture, named after a key site where a ton of artifacts were found. And listen, this wasn't just some scattered group of tribes. No way. This was a complex, sophisticated society that was thriving for more than 1,000 years, right around the time this egg was made. They were literally setting the stage for everything we associate with ancient Egypt. So, what could these people actually do? When you start looking at what they accomplished, it completely changes the game. It redefines what we thought was even possible back then. Let's just break it down. First off, they were building pretty advanced towns. Places like Hierakonpolis had these massive ceremonial centers. Second, they were incredible craftsmen. They made this beautiful pottery, intricate stone vessels, amazing tools. And third, you start to see a powerful elite class taking shape. Rulers with enough clout to trade for goods from far away and build the very first royal cemetery at Abydos. And you don't have to take my word for it, just look at these artifacts. On the left, you've got copper harpoons. That's not just a tool, that's a status symbol. It says you're powerful enough to hunt hippos. And on the right, that stunning black-topped pottery. That's their signature style, and it shows off some serious artistic and technical skill. And then there's this. This is Tomb UJ at Abydos. It's one of the most incredible finds from this whole period. It was built around 3250 BCE, and it's this complex, multi-room tomb made of mud brick. This is proof positive that the Naqada elite were already building amazing architectural structures for their burials. It's the beginning of a tradition that would eventually lead to, you guessed it, the pyramids. Okay, so now that we know all this, now that we know the Naqada people weren't primitive at all, that they were skilled artists and builders, let's go back and look at that egg again. Does this new context make the pyramid theory more plausible or less? So circling back to the egg, the whole argument that these are pyramids really hangs on a few key details. The shape of the triangles is very geometric, very precise, and those horizontal lines, well, they don't really look like the natural shape of a mountain, do they?
The people who believe this theory say those are intentional details, meant to show blocks of stone. But okay, what did other art from this time actually look like? This here is a piece of painted cloth from Hierakonpolis, from about 3500 BCE. You can see it's got a mix of things: boats, animals, people, lots of geometric symbols. The style is really symbolic, kind of abstract. So the question is, does the art on the egg fit in with this style, or is it something totally different? It's really fascinating when you put them side by side.
And you know, this egg isn't alone. It's not the only ancient artifact caught up in a debate about its age. The Great Sphinx is another huge one. Mainstream history says it was built by the pharaoh Khafre around 2500 BCE. But then you have geologists like Robert Schoch who look at the heavy water erosion on it and say, no way. He argues it had to have been carved thousands of years earlier, back when Egypt had a much wetter, rainier climate. It's these kinds of puzzles, the egg, the Sphinx, that really force us to think bigger.
And all of this kind of leads to a bigger question, doesn't it? Why are we so drawn to these mysteries? What is it about them that just grabs us? And what does that say about how we look at our own history?
When you boil it all down, it's about this tension. On one side, you have the hard archaeological record, the stuff we can actually dig up, hold, and study. But on the other side, you have all these gaps, the pieces of the puzzle that are just gone, lost to time. And it's in those empty spaces where imagination, speculation, and all these great mysteries really start to grow. And for a lot of people, this isn't just a fun what-if game. The egg really captures that feeling. It's this sense that maybe the official story we've been told is missing something. Or worse, maybe it's been deliberately covered up. It's this deep desire to find a lost truth that's been hidden from us. But here's the bottom line, and it's so important. Whether those are mountains or pyramids on that egg, it doesn't change one crucial fact. The people who made it were not primitive. The Naqada culture was an absolute powerhouse of art, technology, and social organization. They laid the groundwork for the pharaohs and the pyramids over thousands of years in a world that was already ancient and incredibly complex all on its own. So that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. As we try to piece together the past, especially when we hit these big gaps in the evidence, what's more important to us? Is it the hard evidence, the artifacts that give us a solid but incomplete picture? Or is it the amazing mysteries that fire up our imagination and make us wonder, what if?